mostly women. So we decided to move away from the Janet scenario because we kind of figured Janet's already got a big house. She can downsize and do what she likes, really. However, there is the biggest cohort heading towards homelessness in this country are women aged 55 years and over. Yeah. It's in the hundreds of thousands of people moving into the cliff where they're currently in rental, they'll hit retirement, and then they're basically, cashless, I think. So we're focusing on women who have little or no assets, and when we say little assets, they can't get into the housing market at the lowest end of the market now, okay? They're still working, or they might be retired, but they appreciate their own privacy, but they also kind of like the idea of not being isolated and living in some kind of communal arrangement. So that's, we'll call her Jane, or the Janes as well, but the development, the development will be women focused, although not necessarily entirely women. So I'm going to, where's the next bit? Who's talking about that? Andy?
And just while we're getting the next thing ready, in my survey recently did on tiny houses, 67% of people who wanted to build tiny houses were women, and the vast majority of people were aged 40 plus. So there was a huge proportionate, significant amount.
Yeah. The other reason we're focusing on this kind of cohort is this really we've developed a prototype that we would like to pitch to government. So there's a policy rationale behind what we're proposing here.
Right. Once you get the pictures, basically stuff, Janet, we're going to do this on a bigger scale. So we've created what we've called the Tiny Emerald City, and we've even got Dorothy's shoes down.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Okay. Just at the top. If you can see we've done some extensive modelling, and we'll come to that in a second. But basically, 16 dwellings, 7 of this intention community that we spoke about earlier, including self-contained homes, 7 studios, common areas, kitchen, dining, library, self-contained and either residential or NGO or leased, including a come and go model. So working on the basis of the fact that we talked about these being movable, there's an element of, if you like, grey nomads that don't want to move around a lot can actually come and go from the sites as well with their own tiny home. We talked about amenity, pets, subject to approvals, and that and that participatory design element as well. So, much like I was involved in how to talk about the individuals could actually have some input into the design.
Okay, well, she was very quick to give over to me. So there's a potential site, which may or may not exist, a government-owned piece of property. So the ownership arrangement of such an arrangement as this would be head lease, so the government would still own the land, so they wouldn't actually have to go through the whole thing of asset sales, because we're still under a government at the moment that is quite against asset sales, which is quite good. Approximately 3,000 square meters in a middle ring suburb. It's got good transport and good local immunity. So there's the form of the 16 dwellings. The important thing with the having state government land is that the state owns a lot of land, but they don't want to have to sell it because then it's an asset sale. So if you lease it to someone, then they also manage the land as well. So it benefits the state. So the type of arrangement would be a head lease, and then the different types of tenure within that would be subleases. Something to that?
No, I think we might go on to the form of
Yes.
the
Design, okay. So,
with these up.
so in the spirit of participatory design, the architecture, just listen to the people talking. Not talking.
Interesting.
It is actually based on what the conversation, but it's just as a thought. It could be a DA, you can submit everything later this afternoon.
I don't think we should say it is a piece of land.
Yes.
It could be, it may or may not be a piece of, it may not be near a church that this man might. But basically, the form of the buildings is inspired by Lara's little narrow building with the veranda on the side. One of the issues we talked about is how close buildings should be. Like as a community, you can't have a lot of little tiny houses sort of stuck in the middle of the bush almost, because it's not really a community as such. So I've used a bit of artistic sort of license to say, if we put all the verandas on the northern side of the buildings and they stack them along that way, we can close the backs of the buildings down and open to the north. They're still fairly close together, but at the same time there's space and plants to grow between. So the site is in fact a bit landlocked. You've got to come through the church grounds to get to it. And the idea, not dissimilar to what we saw over there, is that you might face these dwellings onto a common area, which could be in the centre here. At the front of the site is where those common rooms are we talked about, which has a communal kitchen, dining, library and gathering, and opens onto a small courtyard. You then, as it gets narrower here, this narrows down. This is the, I drew 8, not 7, not what was the number there?
It's actually off.
7. Yeah, so there's a spare room for guests. But this is what might be a cluster type of small dwellings that actually share their own little kitchen, dining room around here, and a few more. Then in the corners, vegetable gardens, chickens and those sorts of things, sort of in their own communal backyard, tucked a bit away from the action. So that was the sort of the general idea of a possible view. We thought that the number felt okay. We talked a bit about how many is too many, how many is not enough, how many do you need to generate enough critical mass for common facilities, and that needs to be worked through in terms of finances, because it's hard to finance that, it'll be hard to finance a common building as well. So that's basically the outline of the proposal, and we actually think that there are some planets that might align, and that surveyor might come out, and other people in the group might come out. And, it may be a project that can actually use a case study on this particular site. Can I say that? Is that allowed? Yep.
So just finally, some ideas on governance, possibly a community land trust this might be a good exemplar of that. Long-term leases, potential for people to own some of these tiny homes or rent tiny homes from a housing organisation. Finance, we didn't get a lot of time to talk about finance, other than if we could lease land or have land vested in a land trust, we wouldn't have the land costs. Perhaps some of the initiatives the Commonwealth Government has out for discussion, the bond aggregator and things like that might give us some more affordable finance. Whichever way, there'd be a ground rent and then for some folk a dwelling rent. We also talked about the on-site management facilities, so some type of, for want of a better word, a body corporate, some way of bringing together and keeping on track the aspirations for the site. Probably our first action would be to engage in discussions with our colleagues over here, wherever they are, who are the other group. And start that ball rolling, because this one's a great idea of Janet's group living, that perhaps the two could meld and blend and be forward.
Ours could look like that in the end. If we loosen back lots of boundaries, and we would become multiple dwelling units by then or something. We have to look at it, but it's what it would look like eventually.
And this site may or may not have been 3 or 4 ordinary suburban housing lots before it moved into its current vacant form.
One of the discussions we had in the group was, in a sense, a little bit like the Janet Group living model, where there was some degree of intentionality and with a group of women who had some sort of capacity for asset base to do that. But within the broader or the wider development, which kind of stretched out in trying to this particular block of land, it's too big for just one thing. So we've actually got a couple of different prototypes within the bigger prototype. The sort of, how, and it'll be great for us housing researchers if it gets going. We can do some work forever, you and me, Jason. But to test out how that might work for a group of women with some intentionality, and then the relationships between that and a wider community that is a bit more, that may be a bit more flexible in terms of coming and going, or rent to buy, or whatever. I think designing some flexibility into it is important.
I think there's sorry.
Just one of the points that we discussed at length was the research that Jason has done, and the importance of actually having a separate title, even within the community situation. I understand, Jason, that's a real help in terms of the way things.
And we went on the basis that not those sorts of Janets, but these sorts of Janes wouldn't have the asset base to do that. Some would, some may, some may not. But in terms of a long-term housing affordability policy outcome for this cohort of women, it's not likely that they're going to be able to own house and land, whether it's a tiny house and a tiny bit of land, either or. So that's why we kind of went with the lease, head lease, and
the other issue is that we have churches who sort of do versions of this already, and the role of a community housing provider, a church housing provider, to got to have an overarching non-profit ownership, and then within that have forms of tenure that you could own the building. And we thought that was an innovative idea that was possibly so. It's not like a self-funding process; it's a partnership arrangement.
And I think we mustn't lose sight of the fact that we're going to get some relaxation around it being movable dwellings as well.
Yeah.
Because also bear in mind, from a planning perspective, being state land, you can set a precedent by being state land, but then the relevant minister can then declare it as a strategic project and override the local government.
Yeah, that's true.
Just on that point, one of the things that we didn't say here was, and this is putting the pressure on people who develop in Queensland to actually go and build one of these and do it, test it out from a market perspective.
So we're now in action time here. Yes,
Sorry.
we've got the drawings. I mean, beautiful.
Got the drawings.
Lovely drawings. If you all want to take a seat, what I'd really like to